Good morning, YouTube. We got the journal today, man. We got the green tea again. And for those who have been locked in with me since the beginning, we're back in the black white beater, just like we used to record videos. And I appreciate you if you have been. If not, welcome in. We're talking about neurological threshold today, man. What is the neurological threshold? This is a beautiful concept and a very important concept because it ties so much together. So much of what we talk about in mental health, in self development, in inner work, right, can be tied together and related through this one concept of neurological threshold. So, we talk about things like addiction. We talk about things like mental health issues, not talking about the super serious, diagnosed ones, but like just general kind of poor or positive mental health, anxiety, depression, right? Sleep quality, things like that, right? We talk about ways to heal, right? And so neurological threshold ties all of these together. What do I mean by that? Neurological threshold can essentially be thought about like this mug right here, this cup. Our threshold, you see where the green tea is at right now, we're not at our threshold. We're not at our capacity, right? But if we were to exceed that capacity, we've breached our threshold, okay? And so each one of us individuals has a different nervous system, and our nervous system has a different threshold and capacity, a different capacity to tolerate negative things, right? Pain, discomfort, anxiety, whatever, stress from work, from relationship, whatever, as well as, and this is the one people don't talk about as much, as well as a capacity to tolerate positive emotions and positive energy. For a lot of people, the nervous system interprets positivity as uncomfortable, right? I'm not accustomed to having this much love in my life, success, visibility, intimacy, whatever it may be. Let me do something to fuck it up. Why do I keep self-limiting? Why do I keep self-sabotaging? This is all related, right? Because if we're breaching our capacity to hold the charge of positive energy, then we're gonna start to do what, right? What happens when we breach our capacity in terms of negative or positive energy? What happens when we breach our neurological threshold? That's when we see things like the maladaptive coping mechanisms. That's when we see things like escapism, numbing, shutdown, overwhelm, right? And this manifests itself in a number of different ways. We all have our own preferences. Some people overeat, some people overdrink, some people smoke, some people watch porn, some people chase endless, sexual encounters. Some people run to the bar room, some people run to the strip club, some people, we all have our own kind of, preferences in terms of what we do when this happens, but it's all related and actually a consequence of this idea, right? We've exceeded our threshold, and now it feels so overwhelming, and we human beings don't like that feeling, that we need to go do something to numb that, right? And again, this ties up all of these concepts, right? Of addiction. That's what we call addiction. People that act out, right, in various ways because of an incapability, right, a lack of capacity to tolerate exceeding this threshold, right? It's the same thing with the upper limit problem with Gay Hendricks. If you haven't heard of that, I highly recommend give that a Google right now, right? Gay Hendricks upper limit problem. If you're someone who's found yourself, self-limiting, self-sabotaging. But this is related too, right? Because again, on the positive end, we can exceed our capacity, and that's when we engage in self-limiting behavior, right? I have a beautiful weekend with my girl coming up. It's gonna be amazing. Before the weekend starts, I start an argument with her. I wasn't able to tolerate the coming intimacy and just beautiful weekend, right? I have a vacation coming up. I get sick right before, right? I wasn't able to tolerate just the joy, peace, and presence and whatever that I would have experienced otherwise on that thing, right? I have a big acting gig coming up. I have a big presentation coming up, whatever. I watch porn the day before and I make sure that day of the performance, of the presentation, whatever, I'm numb, I'm anxious, I'm kind of out of it, right? Because I wasn't able to tolerate that, okay? So here's the cool thing, right? Going back to this. We have the ability, every single person has the ability to expand, to get a bigger one of these, basically, right? I can trade this in for a bigger one, thereby allowing myself to tolerate more positivity, okay? And also more stress and more discomfort before I go and shut down, before I go and escape, okay? How do we do that? Dual, tell me how do we do that? Please, I'm gonna tell you. I think there's more than one way, to be honest. There's probably a lot of different ways, right? The general idea is expanding nervous system capacity, but the way that I've been looking into a lot lately and the way that I've been practicing lately is something called TRE. For those that are not familiar, TRE stands for tension and trauma release exercises, okay? Every single mammal on planet Earth has the ability, the inherent mechanism built in to release trauma and release tension and release sympathetic activation energy from the fascia and from the body and from the muscles, right? For example, something could have happened to me when I was 2 years old, and because I'm 2 years old, I can't fight, I can't take flight, right? I can't flee. I just freeze. I just tense up and shut down, okay? When my parent is screaming at me, for example. That freeze energy, if it's not released, it's gonna stay in my body. It's gonna be stored in the fucking tissues of my body, okay? So at 2 years old, something happened. Here I am at 30, 31, and I'm like, why is my neck all fucking tense? Why do I have back pain? Why am I constantly in this like fucking like, like self-protection? And I have no idea that it's tied to some earlier event that caused that fight, flight, or freeze energy to be stuck in the fucking tissues and the fascia of my body, okay? And so you can see this in the wild. You can see a gazelle gets chased by a lion. He almost dies. He's in fight or flight, right? If he escapes, he's going to engage in this same exact mechanism. He's going to practice TRE. He's going to do it on his own, right? And he's going to tremor, he's going to twitch, he's going to shake, and then he's going to get up and he's going to go back to grazing grass completely at peace, like nothing ever happened. What we do as humans, we escape the lion, right? We encounter a fight or flight or freeze situation. We don't do the tremors. We suppress it. We're not taught how to do it. We're not taught that that's normal. We're conditioned to suppress it. We don't go back to grazing normally at peace, like nothing happened. We hold on to that tension, right? All of our lives until we discover something like this or begin to expand our capacity. And so this is an example, my friends, of bottom-up healing, right? It's not top-down. It's not question the anxiety. Why am I having this thought? Why do I not feel worthy? Why do I feel fear? It's not anything cognitive, right? This is bottom-up healing. So from the fascia, from the body, we're releasing the tension. And as that tension gets released, our thoughts begin to change, right? It works the other way, okay? As we release the tension, it's very interesting. All of a sudden, I have a better opinion of myself. All of a sudden, I don't feel scared anymore. All of a sudden, I don't feel the social anxiety anymore. I can just interact with people. I feel calm, right? And so I'll make a whole video about TRE, guys. It's a really fascinating topic. The thing I'll say and leave you with now is that if you do decide to do it, please go slow, right? Please keep it safe, be cautious. Especially there's what they call sensitive practitioner. I myself am one, right? They recommend starting with 15 minutes of tremors. I can do 10 seconds. I can do 10 fucking seconds, right? And feel the effects of it. So you got to go slow. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. You don't want to release too much at once and overwhelm your nervous system, which is going to have you, it's going to be, right, counterintuitive, counterproductive. And that's what I'll leave y'all with, man. But TRE is a beautiful way to expand that neurological threshold and expand that capacity. And healing is possible, man. Appreciate you.